Hello, accessibility enthusiasts. Welcome to Web Access Matters. I'm your host, Pedro Velhinho, and joining me today, we have an amazing life story. Joshua Baisel, founder of Spinalpedia, also the community relations for AccessiBe, will tell us all about it. Don't miss out. Stay tuned. Welcome to Web Access Matters. I'm here today with Joshua Baisel, AccessiBe advocate. I think I can call you that, right? An accessibility advocate.
Community relations manager.
Community relations. Okay. There's so many titles going around, but yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us, and let us know more about you and about what you're doing.
Pedro, thanks for having me.
No, great stuff. Let me start you by asking, like, I think again, you must answer this a lot, but how did your accident, your accident early on in your life, shaped how you see accessibility?
So yeah, my injury took place as a teenager. I was 18 years old, so this was 21 years ago. I was in the ocean on a family vacation at the beach, and a wave came behind me, picked me up, threw me over my boogie board, and just slammed me head first against the ocean floor. And that day, I heard a loud crack in my neck, and it was my fifth cervical vertebra in my neck bursting, and instantly became paralyzed below my shoulders. I was face down in the water, unable to move, unable to scream for help, and just remember thinking, just I hope my friends see me. I hope they can pull me to shore. I always was thinking I lived a really good life to that point, and very grateful my friends did see me. They pulled me to shore, and it was a start to life with paralysis. And so since then, that's what shaped my paralysis, kind of brought me into a world of barriers. And there was one barrier after another, being paralyzed below your shoulders, whether it's in the physical or digital world. And every single day that you put yourself out into the world, you kind of face something. So that my injury itself truly did shape hitting accessibility barriers, whether it's in public spaces and buildings, or if it's to get onto my computer, accessing the internet. It's just one thing after another. And then you kind of always have to figure out a way forward or a way around. And I've gotten really good at. I think people with disabilities are the best problem solvers in the world, because every single day, from the second we wake up to the second we go to bed, we're having to navigate the world differently and creatively. And so, yeah, that's
No, amazing, and thank you for sharing. And me being blind now, I wasn't blind since when I was born, but I did have some disability. So I feel that people that become, or people that have some kind of disability now, it comes as a shock. I find that it takes a stronger mindset to overcome that, because I had so many years to prepare for this, but when things happen suddenly, I think it does take a stronger kind of mind to overcome that, and I think you're a perfect example of that. And I
for the spinal cord injury world, especially, like it's a big reset button that you have to hit on life. Before my injury, I did things 1 million ways, and now after my injury, I get to do it 1 million new and 1 million different ways. But you have to kind of figure that out. And if you have that perspective, you can see that life still can go on in beautiful ways. It's just going to be different. But different can be fun, different can be meaningful, different can be beautiful, and it can be surrounded by loved ones, it can be surrounded by family, it can be surrounded by friends.
Amazing stuff, and I'm definitely going to quote you on "different can be fun." I think that's going to be one of my taglines moving forward, because that's a really nice way to look at things. You mentioned spinal cord, of course, and that takes me to something else that I'm very curious about. How do you go to build something like Spinalpedia? Like, what drove you to do that?
Yep. So about 10 months after my injury, I just realized I felt like I was reinventing. I was basically had to learn everything on my own, of how to adapt into this new world. And I wanted to find a way to simplify it. And one of the biggest ways that I found like that I had like the biggest breakthroughs early on were by getting in touch with mentors, people that already had that lived experience, that have already done it, and could show me a path forward or give me options on how I could tackle life, or what government programs I needed to get into, or what I needed to do to like build kind of that foundation of support to like give myself the best chance of moving forward towards success and towards my dreams. So it started off as my nonprofit is called Determined to Heal. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. And about 2 years into Determined to Heal, we created Spinalpedia. So that was back in 2007 that we created Spinalpedia. And our goal then was, especially with the spinal cord, there's 31 different vertebrae that make up a spinal cord, and each vertebra branches out to a different world of functionality. If I was one level above my injury, I would be I would have I would no use of my diaphragm and could be on a ventilator. One level below, I could begin to have use of my biceps and triceps, and a level below that of more finger function. And so it's like every single level of your spinal cord branches out. So Spinalpedia is a way of making sure that there were mentors for every level of injury around and functionality around the world. So we started off by uploading one video and breaking it down by physical functionality with different tags, and then categorizing it in a different category and subcategory. Next thing you know, what is it now? Almost 18 years later, we have over 40,000 videos broken down by functionality. So the community, it's the world's largest video mentoring network with over 10,000 community members. You put your functionality in, and all of a sudden you have 1,000 videos in your unique world to show you how to tackle life, or how to get in touch with mentors or mentees in your world.
That's incredible. It's a huge database of information. Something that I'm curious about is I'm sure that more people with spinal cord injuries are, so the target is people with spinal cord injuries. But what do you have an idea of how many people that don't have that particular injury but want to know because they have a loved one, a friend, or so? Like, do you have any idea of what's the?
So yeah, and it's way beyond spinal cord. It's really the paralysis world or wheelchair users world. Yeah, wheelchair users is the better way of approaching it, because anybody that's a wheelchair user, kind of within Spinalpedia, we're kind of we're approaching it in many similar ways, depending on what your functionality is, your strength is, and what type of devices you have that are in your life that allow you to tackle your daily living. So, but being able to put in that functionality, you're able to connect with people. And but right now, um, I think there's about 5.5 million wheelchair users in the U.S. alone, that we tap into. And but our goal is just to get out to communities, letting them know. But like even with that 5.5 million, that just skims the surface, because when you have a significant disability, it's not just you on the journey. It's your friends, it's your caregivers, it's your healthcare providers. Like we call it the spinal cord community, the paralysis community, the wheelchair using community. And that community is huge. That community is powerful. And that community is one of the most brand loyal communities you'll ever find, because when your loved ones are taken care of, you love those that took care of them, and you remember it and you share it with that next mentee, with that next community member, on how you had a good experience.
No, that's really cool, and that's something that I'm trying to set up. I'm based in Portugal, and that's something that still has to go a long way. In terms of different disabilities, I do know that paralysis in Portugal, it's a bit more support in terms of community wise, especially because of the visibility. Right, when you see someone in a wheelchair, there's a lot of information that comes to your way. When you see someone walking with another person, like I don't know, arm in arm or hand in hand, you don't necessarily think, okay, that person is blind. But yeah, there's still a long way to go in terms of community for the blind community, but still, that's amazing. That's amazing stuff, and I'm so glad that you're using community a lot. I think that takes us into the next one, which is as a community relations manager, as you mentioned before, for AccessiBe. What does your role involve specifically? Are you connecting with the community for AccessiBe, or just or more broad than that?
Yeah. So with AccessiBe, they brought me in, I think now more than 4.5 years ago to join the AccessiBe family of sorts. And I know that at that time they were like, we have a goal of being able to bring um, to do better around the community. And one of the big things that I pushed on them was like, in order to do better around the community, you have to invite the community to have a seat at the table within your journey as a technology company. So having someone like myself and other employees with disabilities is an incredible way of doing it. Or being able to bring community to have a seat at the table as we design products and services. In the last year, we now have the inclusive product advisory board where we have nonprofits from around the country and the world having a seat at the table as we're building out our technologies. We 4 year or 3 years ago, we started our nonprofit partnership program where we brought in nonprofits from around the country and around the world to join us to make their websites accessible and their websites more accessible and their services more accessible that they're providing the community. And we now have over 650 nonprofit partners that have joined us on that commitment. And with that community, we not only listen to them of what they're trying to push out to the world, but then we also do a lot of education to the world through the nonprofit partners, teaching about accessibility and why it matters and why businesses should make sure that that is part of their journey as well. So I'm very, very proud of what we've been able to accomplish at AccessiBe, and we're just continuing to try to like push forward and make sure that community is a central part of who we are as a company.
Okay, great stuff. And do you think when you do that information push, that education, are you connecting with other companies? Do they listen to what you're saying, or what's the relationship there?
I'm sorry, you were going in and out there. Can you say it again, Petra?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, definitely. So when you're going out there, you're pushing information to the world, let's say, through those organizations. But when it comes down to the companies themselves that actually need to implement accessibility or are dealing with that, do you think that they are listening to you now more than ever? What's the like? What's the panoramic view? Like, what's the view on that?
I think they're listening more than ever, actually, because we live in a day and time where social media and community is able to speak a little bit louder because of us being able to promote things on social media and through different podcasts like this and different ways of disseminating information. Even before my injury, like I did not know much about spinal cord injury. All I knew is that Superman was paralyzed. Like that's all I knew. And then I got pushed in this world. And it's like the more I know now, the more I can now then share with others. So it's right now we're on an education and an awareness building campaign to let the world know. I don't think any business wakes up saying, you know what, I really want to make sure people with disabilities cannot be a part of our business. I just don't think they know that they're even blocking people from being a part of their journey. So being able to have that conversation, letting them know what they don't know and giving them options, especially like with Spinalpedia and all the mentoring we do for families, the key is giving options and then letting them choose what they do next. If they choose to go through door one or door two or door three, that's up to them. If they choose to go through no doors, that's also on them. I think in action, once you know the information, that is saying more about you as a business. So if businesses learn that they're not accessible or that they need to do more around accessibility and they don't do it, then that's on them.
Okay. Would you say that that is the biggest challenges for businesses? Um, so, I guess the question is the lack of knowledge the biggest challenge for companies to for businesses to embrace accessibility, or is it just I don't know, don't want to say lack of will, but not understanding the importance and the impact of accessibility on their businesses?
So I think both of those are intertwined, the lack of knowledge and why it matters. if we're able to educate on both those sides and then giving them somewhere to start. Sometimes it's just giving them that first step or that first ability to do the next thing to get to the next stage. It just they got to start somewhere, and they got to make that leap of faith that this is worth pursuing and it is an investment in their business, which it is. It's the smartest investment that you can make, not only to avoid future litigation. I'm a trial attorney. I know we didn't mention that earlier, but after my injury, I ended up going to undergrad, then magna cum laude from law school. And for the last 12 years, I've been a practicing attorney nationwide. And basically, what I'm trying to say there is companies want to avoid compliance issues. So this is a smart way to do it. Just like as if they're building out security within their business, which is now just it's a must have. You always have to have your security certificates. That is built into every business. I would love for accessibility to do the same, but then also recognizing that the disability community, it has huge buying power, has huge amount of money to spend, and they'll come back again and again as repeat customers. So it's just so important that businesses kind of welcome us.
Definitely, definitely, and like you said, they want to avoid like any lawsuits and all that stuff. But your experience, what are some kind of like mistakes that companies do, businesses do when jumping into accessibility wagon? Like, what's are businesses too eager, and then they do try to do too much at the same time? What common mistakes do you see them doing?
Well, so not being able to pick the right, um, let's say, accessibility team to be able to do it around, to give you the right options. They're not every accessibility company is as good as the next, and being able to have a company that really invests a ton of time and resources in making sure that their services are done right and are constantly being improved and evolved to be the best product possible and service possible. Being able to bring, like with AccessiBe, like we have an incredible solution and tool called Access Widget, which goes on a site, it scans the site every 24 hours, and it remediates accessibility barriers for someone to have a better experience. But it also then creates these incredible usability profiles, which built into whatever accessibility devices that you're using gives you even further options and customization to like have that great experience on that unique website. Like every website I go to, I actually have a different approach if it's something where I want to learn or if I want to shop or if I want to build something else out. I'm going to try to experience it differently, and having those customized tools is so important. But at the end of the day, if a website owner can build their website from scratch with accessibility in mind, it creates the good building kind of bones and blocks. Like I always say this example: if you buy a home that's not accessible and try to make it accessible later on, it's going to take more time, energy, and money to do it. But if you built it right from the beginning with accessibility, you end up having a much easier path forward. Unfortunately, the majority of all websites that are built though do not have accessibility in mind from the beginning. So how do we attack that? How do we from a scalable place actually make sure those websites are better for people with disabilities? And having solutions like Access Widget really gives a scalable option to transform businesses. So I'm a big believer in this type of technology.
Definitely, and how do you balance like the use of a quick solution with the more deeper needs or the need with the deeper implementation of accessibility long term?
So one of the cool things that AccessiBe offers, so they have the Access widget, which basically is able to get onto a website immediately within 24 hours. It's able to start doing it what it does best. But AccessiBe also has an amazing tool and solution called Access Flow, which then allows the developer to go in a manual sense and fix and remediate a lot of the areas that of need. So being able to attack it from both angles is always the approach that I feel gives websites and business owners the best product and website at the end of the day. But we have to meet website owners and businesses where they're at. I'd rather them do something than nothing. I'd rather them continue to do more and more and more if they can within their budgets, within their times, within their commitments. So I want to meet businesses where they're at, but then also continue to educate them and be with them on the journey because it's not a one and done. I don't ever like somebody that says you just flip a switch and your accessibility problems are over. That's not reality. It's an ongoing evolution, but we do have to meet businesses where they're at because we have to try to keep chipping away and making better accessibility experiences.
Yeah, I do agree. But do you think that, for example, let's say AccessiBe in this case, is is a good universal quick solution for that? Like you mentioned that the access widgets, and I asked this coming from the blind perspective, using screen readers, a screen reader, and to be honest, the experience is not always a good experience. Again, it depends on many things: my computer, my browser, the screen reader I'm using, and so on. But do you think AccessiBe is a good universal solution, all things considered?
I think it is depending on, so there's different companies doing it around the world, and not every single one invests the same type of money, energy, time into building it out and to continue making it improve with how websites are being developed. Uh, I've been a part of AccessiBe for now 4.5 years, and I've seen how much time and money and energy they put into making their technologies continue to improve. It's not what it was 4.5 years ago. It's not what it was 3 years ago or 2 years, 1 year. It keeps getting better and better with time. And the best way to do that, and another example of how AccessBee is really trying to do this to the best of their abilities, is we have Access Lab, which where we have blind usability testers that go in and test it not only on our end for our tools and services, but also then on other websites and testing it for them once it gets operated. So it's just you've got to keep doing kind of best practices to be able to do this right, but then choosing the right accessibility solutions and tools from the right companies is key.
Okay, no, got it. Yeah, I get it. And as long as people with different disabilities are involved, I think that the end product is always going to be the best thing, right? Or at least the better thing. I see that happening with assistive technology. When you involve people that actually are going to use it, yeah, the outcome is much better. Um, and yeah, and like in terms of like laws and regulations going that we have right now. I know that there's the ADA in the US. Now there's the EAA in Europe. Do you think that these laws are prepared for the future, prepared to make businesses pay attention to accessibility?
I 100% believe, even, with the EAA, which I think is exciting to be able to really create more accountability and more pressure on businesses globally to be able to do this better and do this right. I think at the end of the day, compliance is a good thing because it not only encourages, but it creates the best environment going forward for businesses to reach more customers. So, and it's also one of those education parts that we're talking, earlier. It's businesses don't know what they don't know, but if, let's say, an EAA law or a DOJ guidance paper, or the courts end up creating big precedent that goes out to the way to all the people and all businesses. Every single time, every single one of those things happens, and even unfortunately, sometimes even lawsuits that are brought to the attention of different businesses. It's an education opportunity. It's a conversation. As long as we can have healthy conversations around this, we're going to be doing more to create kind of a new baseline, a new status quo. And I mentioned earlier about security. Like 20 years ago, people didn't have security built in to their websites. And now almost every single business has security built in with the different certificates. And it's become kind of that status quo. And I dream of the day for us to be able to do that around accessibility.
Yeah, I share that dream. How is accessibility? Like, what is the role of accessibility in terms of innovation and overall user experience? Like, what do you think accessibility? What is the role? What role is it going to play in that?
The role in innovation.
Yeah, innovation associated with the user experience as a whole.
So accessibility is key because it's one of those, words and bigger ideas of saying, how do we make sure that customers, wherever they're at in their journey of shopping or experiencing services, how do they have access and how do they have better experiences? So if we keep getting better with the innovation side of accessibility and keep on doing it better, we're going to not only have happier customers, but we're going to have customers that no matter what can get from the start to the finish. Like I can't tell you over the years of how many times I've tried to go to a business and been blocked at the door, or been blocked at at the counter or the changing room, or whether in the digital world, been blocked to try to use the filter system or the tab system or the drop downs, or even put my credit card information in. Like whenever you're blocked at any single area of a business, you know, most people just turn around and kind of say, "This sucked. I'm not going to do this again." So if we can create the experiences where people do not feel like they have to turn around and either invite somebody in to say, "You know what, I'm blocked here. Can you get me across the finish line?" There shouldn't ever be a human that has to come in to do that for you. It's with our technologies and with the right coding and the right platforms and the right AI tools, we can do better to create better experiences, and that's what I love in it. I do. I would say this. I do love artificial intelligence, and I've seen how it's transformed my life to date. But it's the worst it's ever going to be today, and that gets me excited for the future. And as long as we invest the right time, energy, and money and resources, and bring in people with disabilities to test it, we're going to have a really awesome future.
Yeah, I agree, and I was going to ask you that. Like, is AI the one thing that excites you the most about digital accessibility?
Absolutely. AI, because what we struggle the most with in today's world is is again that lack of knowledge and the websites and the businesses that already exist out there that don't have accessibility built in. So how do we impact that? The way we do that is by creating scalable options and solutions. It's got to be, there's just not enough manual coders in the world to make the millions and millions of websites become accessible. It's just there's not enough of them. There's not enough time. There's not enough conversations. But if we have scalable solutions that can do it, that can be, affordable and in a way that can be brought in, and then once they're brought in, we have the ability to do more teaching, education, automated type educational conversations to keep it going. Like it's just, we have to find ways to create scalability to really tackle this in today's world. And that's a practical way of approaching it.
Yeah, agree. Well, one of the things that I put on on the cons, let's say, column is that my background is also in search engine optimization. So when I look at the websites right now, I see that the traffic, for example, is going down almost across the board, especially due to AI, because we now tend to use AI, GPT, Gemini, whatever, as search engines, as search bots, let's say. One of my I don't know, my concern is that business owners look at that and say, okay, why should I invest in accessibility for my website when people are not going there anymore? What would you say to that?
I would ask the question, why are people not going there? Are they being blocked from going there? And that's the reason why you're not hearing from them. But I think, again, no business wakes up saying they want to block other customers or any customer from being part of their journey. So if you want to welcome all customers, accessibility is key. If you want to make sure people have good experiences and think well of your brand, um, building accessibility is key. So it's not just that you are saying, the person with the disability is welcome. You're saying, are their family members, are their friends welcome? Because if you block somebody with a disability, those people remember as well, and those people, the other family members and community members, will remember that. And we're talking about so much money on the table as well to do this right, with inviting all communities to have a seat at the table. And I know for myself, when I'm treated well, I come back again and again and again and spend my money.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of connects. It connects with us, right, in a different level when you're well taken care of and people do see you as you are, and then yeah, that's an amazing feeling, definitely. Um, but just stepping back a bit, do you think that there's still a bit of branding connected to the accessibility investment? So the perception that I'm doing good by investing in accessibility, is that still a driving force?
It's absolutely a driving force, and it's such an important a branding to have, because and we're seeing statistically, especially with different let's say generations, and whether it's the younger generation of Gen Z and others, they've statistically said they want to shop at businesses that care about accessibility, that care of a welcome environment. And then you have, let's say, the baby boomers that are now facing, their own accessibility challenges to be able to experience websites. So it's just, there's every single generation, it, in my opinion, cares deeply about accessibility, because it's not a matter of if but when. Accessibility is going to impact you, someone you love, or a coworker, or a friend. So having accessibility built in is a is an important proof to make sure that you're doing the best business practices and the smart business practices for investing in your future as a company.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point on that, and I do see that branding part of it being there. In my work with accessibility and SEO, I did have to connect the two of them to make sure that the added value of accessibility was there, and that businesses did understand what was at stake. Well, one last question is that, like throughout your life, since you have the accident, what is the one accessibility, I don't know, feature, tool that you really think that changed your life and provided some level of different access to the information or whatever?
Screen readers for me personally. So I've since second grade, I've had a reading disability, and being able to, it took my spinal cord injury to even teach me that screen reading technology even existed. And when I was able to get that in college, I went from, a B student to an A student in all of my academic pursuits from that moment on. And being able to, get through law school, I had my screen reader. In order to get through websites, I use my screen reader to read the page, especially with long text. And so I love being able to turn on, especially with Access Widget, the screen reading technology, so I can use a screen reader and then use my on-screen keyboard to tab through different sections. And leveraging both of those together, it's just, I love today's world and where we're going and how we're doing it, and it's really helped me become the best me, and to get through my day in a productive and efficient way.
Amazing stuff, Joshua. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. A lot of information, a lot of insights, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pedro, and thank you for your audience for staying to the end.
Cheers.